wanna kiss. I never wanna miss.
In 2023, there have been a number of multi-generational idol releases in the past 6.5 months to varying degrees of success both worldwide and locally. For international K-pop fans and local K-pop fans, the perspective on the outside is when you get to a certain age, you grow out of it and you move on, but you keep the memories of your favorites and check in from time to time. However, within the industry, especially for women, you pivot your career path altogether with age. And this comes from instances of maybe the idol job itself as it's traditionally viewed, having a glass ceiling of about 30 max. But imagine debuting at 38. Well, in the case of 21 member Sandara Park, she's currently going through the soloist promotion cycle of her debut mini album, Welcome to Sandara Park Festival. While she debuted with 21 in 2009, she technically became the group's first soloist. However, being that the song was for a commercial ad, it didn't count as her debut, and therefore, 13 years later, releasing both her debut mini album and solo single. In this video, we'll be talking about Sandara Park's re-debut, Jack of All Trades, and Women in K-pop vs. Ageism, which will give context to the ageless vampire queen's re-emergence in the music industry and how it shuts down the negativity around older female idols. So let's begin. In 2004, Sandara Park began her career in show business not as an emerging recording artist, but as a contestant on the TV show Star Circle Quest in the Philippines. Her placement in second place by the end of the show led to her signing a record deal with Star Magic, which is officially the genesis point of Sandara Park, the singer, with said debut eponymous album in the Philippines in July 2004. Ironically, as part of the recording of this month, it marks the 19th year of Sandara's singing career, coinciding with her recent album release. At the time, despite the success of the single in or out in the country, she was mostly still known for her charming award-winning TV roles and box office success. Albeit, despite being the first Korean to ever go platinum in the Philippines, it really didn't hurt to make her the boa of the Philippines per se in Korea. She left back to South Korea to train for YG Entertainment. YG himself noticed Dara through that KBS broadcast documentary, My Name is Sandara Park in 2004. It would not be until 5 years later when Dara would make her debut alongside Minzy, CL, and Park Bom to debut on YG's girl group 21. In 2009, during their debut, Sandara had released a song called Kissed featuring CL for her endorsement deal with Oriental Brewery's Cass Beer. The song became her first song released in South Korea, peaking at number 3 on Melon and topping the Bug streaming service chart. This is what made most people associate her solo career to. However, it can be believed that due to the song not being technically tagged as her official debut because of its Cass Beer endorsement ad, it is in the same way of how Big Bang's collaboration with 21 cannot be claimed as the group's debut song despite it being a major hit in Korea. Thus, Dara would have to make a long wait before she can actually say her debut solo had arrived. With all this in mind, it seems Dara has been in a constant state of emergence, as a singer at least. She was 25 during 21's debut, 20 during her Panor debut, and now 38 with her Korean debut. As the term goes, age is nothing but a number. That doesn't really apply to the music industry, especially one that moves as fast as the K-pop music industry. In between the music scarcity, she did make a name for herself in Korea and abroad that makes her bigger than music. What we know of in K-pop for the roles members play in their group, there's the main rapper, there's the leader, there's the main vocalist, there's the visual, etc. For Dara, it was being the main visual in 21 alongside being the sub-rapper and vocalist. Visuals back then in K-pop, and sometimes now, are used as gateways to extend group promotion. While you couldn't have an entire group do a film to expand their audience, you could send a member that is more quote-unquote visually friendly to be in ad campaigns, drama roles, and modeling in order to boost interest from beyond music. On one of the K's originals Look Me Up web series, the producer mentioned to Dara that there were many men claiming that she was their ideal type. Her response, roughly translated, quote, "Back then, it was hard to find someone who didn't choose me as their ideal type," end quote. And one could say that the visuals of a group had became the most praised member for exceeding or meeting beauty standards. Yet in her case, she did have insecurities about her place in the group's music being more than just visuals. In between 2015 and 2016, she added to her resume in Korea being a brief radio DJ award-winning idol-turned-actress via her K-drama Dr. Ian, and appearances on numerous variety shows, which showcased her unique personality. Despite 21's abrupt ending in late 2016, she continued to make a name for herself broadly. In the years to come, she would be known for her stint on South Korea's King of Masked Singer competition show, as well as co-hosting the annual Asia Song Festival, being a host for web shows, making her musical debut as an actress, and being a fixture at Fashion Week. A jack of all trades is her earned moniker despite being pigeonholed as a singer who quote-unquote cannot sing or doesn't perform her main occupation. This has also led her to having the most wide-reaching exposure in Korea despite not releasing music. As much as new K-pop fans try to act like she has no relevance, even some hardcore stance of her contemporaries claim she needs to mention others due to the lack of work in her singing occupation. Dara has remained headstrong in every avenue, and to a degree I would say all these avenues outside the music industry has kept her revenue streams consistent and strong, which we all know idols lack payments off of their music. Even still, the desire to want idols to retire after 30 years of age is not new, especially those that fail to capture the attention consistently with new music, especially when it comes to women. Ageism is a term some people may have heard but never fully understood. Ageism is prejudice or discrimination against a particular age group and especially the elderly. For K-pop fans, typically this act of being ageist runs deep and intersects with the K-pop industry narrative of here one day and gone the next since it's always shifting. Newer groups are consistently debuting and leaving each week. Then there are industry staples who have put in the work to stand the test of time yet feel surprised that they're still around. Take Boa Kwan, for example, who is known as a K-pop legend and pioneering Japanese artist. Reflecting on her nearly 25-year-long career with legendary Korean artist Jung-hwa, she stated, "I never knew I'd be an idol this long." Jung-hwa responded with, "What do you mean? Back in our day, idol groups all disbanded after 5 years or so. I thought I'd be active for 5 years and then quit. The toughest period of my life was turning 30 as a female singer." End quote. For context, Boa thought her career was over by age 19 in 2005 after she just sold a cumulative 1.1 million albums in Korea, 4 million in Japan, and had an equal 4 #1 albums in both countries. By age 30, as she stated in 2017, 2 years prior to that, she had received the most unanimously positive music critic reception of her career, which would follow into 2018 for her next mini album. To say the least, it's crushing to think that she was hitting her creative prime, yet having doubts about her stay as a singer. Even during her commercial prime at 19, thinking it was over. Glad that she's still putting out quality music despite K-pop fans constantly asking who or that she's too old. Another Korean legend, Jung-hwa, who is considered the Madonna of Korea alongside her contemporary Kim Won-sun, they both started their pop music careers in the mid-80s and became explosive in the early 90s. At both ages 54, they've been routinely overlooked by international fans and even local K-pop fans in terms of their main career. However, Jung-hwa has remained consistent and gained a lot of major accolades for her acting in dramas like the recent Dr. Cha, Princess Aurora, and Dancing Queens, and etc. However, in the music business, she hasn't been nominated since 2008, while Won-sun has remained relatively quiet until recently last year, both in music and TV. Albeit, the recent Dancing Queens on the Road TV show has opened the door for the women to perform more. But I will say this, when it comes to frequently iconic singers like Lee Hyori, Boa, and whatnot, I feel like Jung-hwa and Kim Won-sun are talked about the least, and I do feel that them being alongside iconic singers like Lee Hyori of VinKL and Boa and Hwasa Mamu on the show helps a lot. Yet it still brings to mind that women in the K-pop industry feel subconscious about working up to a certain age group. Another interesting example is Mama Idol, which was a TV survival series in 2021 surrounding 6 former idol women who became mothers to return to the stage. The show marked a turning point for survival music shows, considering a show like that had never been produced before. During its run, it saw women like former leader of After School Kahi and Sunye of Wonder Girls returning to performing. To say the least, it did receive positive reception with relatively decent ratings. It was able to birth the very short-lived idol group Mama Doe. The idea of K-pop women staying in the industry past 30 continues to persist on social media. Yet it's just as obvious with the industry itself that they get the verbal praise but not the tangible results, as if their work ethic or quality has declined since they got older. An outlier can be said of the supergroup The Refund Sisters, which consisted of Jung-hwa, Lee Hyori, Jessie, and Hwasa in 2020. This group of women between the ages of 24 and 51, their single Don't Touch Me was their number one hit in Korea. It had many of the women's first number one hit in years, and some of them their very first. I can agree on the stance that idol men are at a certain age affected by ageism. A good example is JYP and the international band's response to his music releases every blue moon. The way some newer K-pop fans also acting as if second gen are pretty much geriatric, it is a bit strange. And yet if you compare the idol contemporaries, that there are some difference for women in comparison to men when it comes to the extreme of ageism. Circling back to the example of Boa, she's been getting a lot of contribution and participation awards from the industry since 2020 for how long she's still been around. From the Seoul Music Awards, MAMA, and the World Cultural Industry Forum Awards, they respectfully given her the accolades Legend, Inspiration, and Achievement Awards. Yet if I didn't know any better, I believe she was in her 50s from the amount of awards she collected that aren't competitive. In my eyes, I agree with those accolades, yet it's not like Boy isn't putting out quality and competitive music that can stand with the best of them today. Yet her only recent competitive award nomination was at the Korean Music Awards last year. Mind you, between 2018 to the present day, Boy has released 3 mini albums and 2 full albums, yet only 1 competitive award nomination. However, take her juniors for example, Super Junior, who have every K-pop fan making fun of them for how long they've still been together and active. They had their fair share of competitive award nominations and wins in that same time frame from the TFMAs, the SDAs, and Golden Disc in Korea. This is all a combination of arguably misogyny and ageism behind the scenes and among fans. For Sandara Park, these issues do not separate from her. Since Dara's debut, she hasn't had the most steady ride, yet she's remained resilient, staring in the face of debuting at age 25 years old and debuting as a solo artist at age 38 years old. 3 debuts, a long music hiatus, and battling a level of inadequacy among an industry constantly changing around her, yet through it all during the solo period has assembled many of her sunbaes and hubaes to do her TikTok challenges, some spanning beyond the music industry into acting, TV, variety hosts, and personalities. Having a bright, unique personality and consistent work ethic has kept her in the limelight. Forever timeless, youthful, and being everyone's favorite, Sandara Park.